So remember last year when we had joint practice against the New England Patriots and it was just not a good day or a good look for the Washington Commanders? We're going to get someone that was at practice to tell us what went on because everything on the timeline sounded doom, gloom, and Armageddon like. I've even seen Nikki Jabwala say this is the worst the offense has looked since she's covered the team. And I remember watching Sam Howell football. So let's get to it. Let's ramble about Washington. Commanders versus Ravens joint practice recap with my brother Lake Lewis Jr. Let's go. Empowered by Prize Picks. This is Rambling About Washington. What it do, Washington Commanders Nation? I'd like to welcome to the show my friend in real life, friend of the show, NFL insider, and not too many covering the Washington Commanders better. What up, Lake Lewis? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, big dog? Because I do not hear you right now. Your sound is gone. If I see you perfectly fine, I don't hear you. All right, come in and come back. I'm going to bring him out, and we're going to bring him back in just a second. But Washington Commanders joint practice versus the Baltimore Ravens. I need to have it confirmed to me that things went as bad as they sounded on the timeline today. Washington, our offensive line situation, there was a lot of people out of practice today. We know what we were coming. We were coming with a knife to a gunfight. We knew what to expect on that front. Marcus Mariota, Bill Krosky-Merritt, Jeremy McNichols, Ben Sinnott, Larry Tunsil, Nick Allegretti, Sam Cosmi, Deron Payne, Johnny Newton, Odafe Owe, Kayvon Chason, Jordan McGee, Trey Amos, and even Sam Cosmi couldn't practice because he was sick. I don't know about y'all, but that made me feel away. It's joint practice. You got a cold, you got the flu, you got COVID, unless you got something that's highly contagious. I really think he could have suited up today because we were in a world today where Matt Golbin and Tonai Togai were starting guard and center for the Washington's offense. And there were quite a few plays and things I've seen today where people said it was a party at Jaden Daniels. And we were getting a lot of what we'd been hearing about at training camp, which is, Jaden completed the pass, but he probably would have been sacked on that play. It was a nice throw from Jaden, but he probably gets sacked on that play. We heard a lot of the same things we have been hearing, and I know the fan base's panic meter. I know this fan base very well. That shit is going to get spicy. Nikki Jabwala put out a tweet that had the timeline ablaze, and then she tried to soften the blow and damage control the tweet, but it was already too late. It was already too late because it has ran its course on the timeline. The national media, the trolls, everybody already got a hold of it. When she tweeted, "This is the worst I've ever seen the Commanders offense in years, inoperable offensive line." And she came back and said, well, to keep in mind about the offense today, as mentioned earlier, Cosmi was out. Jaden Daniels played with a front five that featured a lot of Matt Golbin at center, some Julian Good-Jones at center, and mostly Good-Jones and Tanoa Togai at right guard. So we know what the vibes was out there at practice today. My thing is, if you're going to put out a tweet that if you're going to put out a tweet that salacious and say this is the worst that the offense has looked in years, you got to stand on that shit. Don't come back because the black SUVs and because the saxophone started blaring. If they look like shit, tell us that it looked like shit. Don't try to clean the shit up because at the end of the day, it's still fecal matter. We're waiting on Lake Lewis Jr. to pop back in. He's driving home from joint practice. So give him a second to get adjusted. He's live streaming live from a car. Not everywhere is a good signal area. We're going to pop Lake back in here in just a second. So a lot of what I had been seeing on the timeline today, I saw someone break it down as good. Who's this guy that broke this? Okay. Cordell Woodland, who I believe covers the Ravens. You may want to follow him on X because I believe he gave the most in-depth, objective, impartial take of what happened at joint practice today. And there were actually some good nuggets from the Commanders that did take place at practice. I'm not going to sit here and try to silver lining y'all to death, but the defense didn't make it easy on Lamar Jackson, and Kayvon Chase on Oweh and them weren't even out there. You know, Lamar is Lamar, so of course they made plays. They had a big play over Washington to, I believe, Devontae Walker for like a 60-yard touchdown in team drill. You know, Rashad Bateman in one-on-ones. He was beating up corners like he beats up women, allegedly. Antonio Hamilton was getting active in one-on-ones, and the practice ended with Antonio Hamilton. I'm so sorry. They got to get him off this team so I can stop confusing the two. Antonio Williams ended the practice with a touchdown pass from Jaden Daniels, so they at least signed off the basketball court correctly. But let's hear it from someone that was actually at practice, man. Lake, are you with me, my brother? Are you with me? You hear me? Camera on? Here we go. You hear me? Yeah, they got my boy froze. They got my boy paused. Let me let him set that up. So the good that I heard about practice today. Okay, he looks like he might be good now. It looks real choppy. Man, Baltimore got some shitty cell service. We're gonna let him get his service right, and we're gonna bring him in. Or it looks like he might be now. As soon as I bring the camera up, your shit just disappears. Oh, we lost him again. We're going to wait for Lake Lewis Jr., but we're going to talk about what actually took place at practice today. So, Jaden Daniels was in hell the majority of practice. There were plays where Trey Hendrickson, Roquan Smith, and multiple people were meeting at the quarterback. They were partying on Jaden Daniels' grave at practice today. Josh Connolly Jr. is getting whooped by people named Tavius Robinson. Tavius Robinson's okay. 4 or 5 sack guy. But Josh Connolly, quiet as kept, is still a concern for me. It's preseason. We expect him to be better than he was as a rookie. He finished his rookie season off right. But for the amount of muscle Josh Connolly put on this offseason, I've seen it when I was out there at camp. I've had people tell me, and I've been paying attention, Josh Connolly still does not have the functional play strength required at right tackle, and at times can be a turnstile. At times can get pushed right back into the quarterback's lap. Context definitely matters in all this because neither of our 2 co-starting running backs are out there. We know we're down Tunzel. We're down Nick Allegretti, who isn't this big saving grace character, but compared to what we're putting Jaden out there with right now, Nick Allegretti looking like the baddest chick at the club right now. So there's that as well. Not even Sam Cosmi was out there. So the right side, from center to right tackle, was chopped liver out there today. It was chopped liver out there. I saw Jacoby Lane. He made a couple plays on one-on-ones from what I saw on the internet today. I also seen our DBs hold it down. So Cordell Woodland had one of the best breakdowns of practice. It's like 10 minutes long. I'm gonna pull that up on screen because he really, if Lake should be good to go. But at some point, I want y'all to hear this entire video, you know. And hey, Nikki may be totally right about the situation, but there is definitely an aspect of fear mongering that's happening from her end. Lake, my guy, I think we're finally good.
Man, about time. I've been driving behind these slow folks coming from up here, and so hopefully I'm good to go now.
Yeah, Maryland drivers, man. I'm gonna pray for you. But how are you doing today, my dog?
I'm good, man. You know, just I'm doing a lot better than what I saw today, so I'm all right.
So, Lake, what you're saying is it was exactly as bad as we've read and heard on the timeline today.
It was bad. It was bad. Individually, there were some guys like Antonio Williams had a day, man. Like he had a day. You know, Brandon Coleman wasn't that bad. You know, Connolly wasn't that bad. But I did think Matt Golden played way better at center than Julian Good-Jones. Julian Good-Jones was tragic today. I'm just being honest. And they moved him, to guard. He had his struggles. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a backup, and I don't even, and I'm not trying to throw shade at people or anything like that, but this is my job. I got to report it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even say a high end backup at this point right now. He's struggling.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought Goldman was better, but it still wasn't good, and the Ravens just clearly looked like the more physical team at the point of attack. And Jaden hardly had any time. So you can't make an assessment of Jaden because every time you looked up, there were guys breathing on him. I mean, like instantly, 2 seconds, he had to get rid of the
Mm-hmm.
ball or the play would have been dead. So it just wasn't what I was expecting to see. And I know Jeremy Reeves, when he came off the field, I mean, he went in. He went in on everything. Just like they got to get better. They're not good right now. What they're trying to do. So, in saying that, I do want to preface it by saying I know verbatim, and I'm not speculating. I know this for a fact that David Blau's not showing you his playbook. So that could be a silver lining because it can't look this bad in Philadelphia in 2 weeks. It just can't. But if they don't rectify the middle of that field on offense at center specifically, it's all going to be for naught, man. No matter how good the defense can be, what Jaden can do, what Diggs can do, what Terry can do, what Bill can do, it's going to be all for naught if you can't keep pressure off of your quarterback, and that's what's happening all the time now.
Woo. So you're saying the day got better for Matt Golban after he snapped a hoagie over Jaden Daniels' head and he had to
Yes.
recover it and then threw a pick to Kyle Hamilton. You said it got better after that?
Yeah, to pick to Kyle Hamilton, you know, again, I'm not making excuses. The play would have been over before that. So
Okay.
it was kind of like, just let me throw it here in the end zone. And Kyle Hamilton, came up with it. But that was probably, to be honest with you, that was like 4 seconds it took for that to develop for Jaden to throw the ball. You don't have 4 seconds in regular season time. So that play wouldn't have even happened. So I don't want people saying that he threw an interception in real game time speed because that play was over when he threw that interception. I will say this, Antonio Williams cooked Kyle Hamilton on one route that was ridiculous. It was just an incredible route. Great throw by Jaden in the back end zone. But Kyle Hamilton had his fingerprints all over the day. He was the best player on the field, him and Lamar. That's just what it was today.
Yeah, he's one of those. He's one of those ones for real.
He's
And I
one
don't,
of those.
and as versatile as he is, I don't expect him to be able to guard a route technician, slot receiver. Is that the play that ended practice that we read about, the Antonio Williams touchdown, or was that another play?
No, that was another play. Yeah. When I tell you Antonio had a day today, he had a day, and he looked good, man. That's the only way you can say it. He was smooth in his routes. When they were in one-on-ones, he was routing up guys. When they were in 7-on-7s, he was doing his thing. He just you can just see that he's there, man. Like you can just see that it's like the light bulb has come on. He was already good, but the light bulb has come on in a way where he's just out there doing damage to people. And he got Kyle. He did, but in fairness to Kyle, Kyle was just disruptive today. He was all over the place making plays. So again, it's hard to gauge a lot of the stuff you see because, for one, Washington didn't have Bill wasn't out there. Rashad wasn't out there. I mean, so you don't see their frontline guys, and you're seeing some backups getting worked in, and you're seeing a rookie that they're all of a sudden they're asking a lot from, So again, it's hard to gauge, everything you're seeing. Like, do they really look this bad? Because just 2 weeks ago, they looked sheerly dominant against Miami. And I know the Dolphins aren't going to be good,
Yes.
but Washington's being looked at as not being good, and they dominated a team that is supposed to be in the same breath as them. Well, today was a little different. Today was more You went up against a bully. You went up against a physical team on their
Got
in
our
their
ass
home
kicked.
territory. Yeah, and they got shoved around pretty good today.
Yeah, you went with one or two homeboys to go fight a whole gang. That's what it sounded like on the timeline today. And
Yeah.
it's not good to hear that the linemen, like the two guys on the outside, Brandon Coleman and Connerly, you said they weren't too bad. That is the like worst thing you can hear because they're the only guys that's supposed to be. We're not gonna have to worry about those two on the outside. And
But
we
Cosme didn't. But Cosme was out today too. He was sick, so he didn't participate at all. So again, you didn't have your full core offensive
Mhm,
line. Obviously, no Nick Allegretti today. So
mhm,
that's what I'm saying. Like I'm just going by. I've been at every practice,
mhm.
literally,
Yes.
and the first 2, 3 days, maybe 4 days, the defense owned the offense up front. Well, the offense started to come around with the offensive line pushing back against the defense. So I started to feel much better about the offensive line. Like, you know what? They just, it's taking a little time for them to get their feet under them, but they're okay. They're really okay. Now it's like this isn't their full line, and it's not. It's hard to gauge them. Like, there's no way that Brandon and Josh Connerly are going to look like they have. Chris Paul doesn't look that great right now. Chris Paul was a guy that they brought back. They re-signed and was looking really good last year. So I just think the injury to Laramie has
Oh
kind of
man.
like taken the offensive line's mojo because it took their main dog away from them. But I do think this offensive line is not as bad as they're showing. And I think some of that, honestly, Rio, is because they're not showing their playbook. I know for a fact what they're going to show you in Philadelphia week 1. No one has seen that as far as footage, nothing. No one has seen that. I've been told that by players. So again, you go to Baltimore. I just wanted to see them match the physicality. That's all I wanted to see, and they did.
And I hear you. I think there's a lot of discretion of what the actual game plan is, but this is a major concern. This offensive line, the degree, the severity of how bad we've heard it's been this summer sounds like something that can hijack the season. Sounds like something that
Yeah.
won't give Jaden a chance to get the ball to his ball catcher. Sam Cosme feels like the only offensive lineman we should be confident right now because I'm still not sold yet on Josh Connerly. I see his body. I see what type of work he put in this offseason. I still hear and see a lot of the things I saw at the start of his rookie year because he's still growing at that right tackle position. He's still only in the second year of playing that. I understand. Brandon Coleman, I think his best position is left guard, but because of emergency, he's back out there at left tackle. Chris Paul has struggled. We signed a veteran tackle that started 100 games yesterday. Do they need to shuffle this shit up, Lake?
I don't think they went out and got have these thoughts.
Oh, I think Lake's frozen. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, I'm gonna let Lake find some stability on his side real quick. I'm gonna let him find some stability and let him come back because we all have seen the reports. I've been out to practice a couple times. I'm not there every day like Lake, and I know Lake is an optimist, but that offensive line is concerning. This offensive line, Sam Cosme sounds like the only one having a good summer out of all the guys there. It sounds like it's day to day. One day Brandon Coleman looks great. One day Brandon Coleman looks like ass, you know? But the line is a concern, man. The line is a concern. We all love Jaden Daniels. We all want to see Jaden Daniels get the opportunity to thrive. Ain't gonna be none of that shit we talking about Jaden's gonna do if he's under fire every play. And yes, he makes plays still. He still finds a way. But we've had a whole summer up to this point of phenomenal throw by Jaden Daniels. But He might have got sacked on the play. He might have had to run out of bounds on the play. He might have been tagged down on the play. And we go up against a team that we would like to be an equal to, a team that has similar aspirations that we have here, but the roster's further along and they've had a 2-decade run of just good drafting, good player development, and shit like that. So that even when a new regime comes in, it's still business as usual in Baltimore. So we went up to Owens Mills today and we got our asses handed to us today because there's no better way to put that. And the offensive line is the number one culprit for it. So until we get Lake back on a nice stable connection, I want to play something that I seen on X because this was one of the most in-depth breakdowns of practice today. And I don't see anything from our side of the media that's even close to this. So I want y'all to hear some of this.
Cordell Woodland back with another Ravens training camp update. Today was the joint practice against the Commanders. Got a lot of work in today. Not really many fights at all. There was one minor dust up, but that was broken up really quickly. Other than that, credit to both of these teams for coming out here and actually going about their business and just going about getting work in on both sides. Not a lot of fights at all.
Good to hear. Not a lot of fights. You know, we did something right at practice today. But all right, let me bring my guy back in and we can get back to the conversation. We good?
Yeah, man. I apologize. It's just the route I'm taking, man, in the country.
No, listen, you are good. The fact that you're even doing this and you're okay to doing this on the show while you're driving home from joint practice, I appreciate you for coming on. So we were talking about that offensive line. I was saying that fans should be concerned because Cosme feels like the only thing that we should have real confidence in based on what we've been told this summer. Is that a fair statement?
Not really, Rio. And again, I'm not trying to be overly optimistic here because what I saw today was bad. But I just know that Brandon has looked good at times. And Connerly has too, ironically, just not consistently. And see, to me, I kind of look at it like, if I can see the glimpses of what you can do, then I know you can do it. So it's not like they're incapable and they're just, it's not like they got Julian as center where that's just, he can't do it. These guys can do it. And we saw them do it at some point, a year ago. And then for Brandon, we saw him doing it 2 years ago when they went to the NFC Championship game. But they need to do it consistently, and they need to do it like now to get some form of a semblance of an offense, because you can't assess anything if your offensive line can't hold blocks. And that's what was happening today. It was, for everything they did good, they did two things bad. And that's just not the consistency that they need. So I wouldn't say that Sam's the only guy you can hang your hat on. I wouldn't say that at all. But I will say that they're going to need Sam to play at a Pro Bowl level this year with Laramie being out. They're going to have that if they're going to have any kind of chance to do anything.
Man, they brought in DJ Humphries yesterday. What did you make of the signing?
Well, I felt like they brought him in for a reason. Like, they didn't bring him in my opinion, to just be a depth piece. I think they brought him in my opinion, to potentially shuffle that line, and you can stick him at tackle, and then perhaps you move Brandon to center, if Nick Allegretti can't go. And again, like I said, I did see some encouraging things from Matt today, from Matt Goldman today. I did. I saw some very encouraging things, but you all be the things you want to live with that center right now. I don't know if that's the case. They've got on the line. They've got, as far as some guys that can play center, for instance, I think they've been giving Brandon some opportunities. And then they also, I know Trent Scott has been getting some opportunities. So they might have to mix it up and find out who can actually man that thing if Allegretti can't come back. But I do think Nick will come back. And I think that's what they're hoping, that he comes back healthy. But you and I both know a guy that squats most of the time and is playing that center position, to have a calf strain that he came back from and to re-aggravate it, that's not promising either.
Yeah, I've already in my brain have prepared for Nick Allegretti and Amos to be on the pup to start the year and miss the first 4 weeks of the season. Am I off base there?
No, not at all. I mean, I think there's
Oh,
some credence
God.
to that.
Tell
You
me,
know,
tell me I'm off base late. Tell me I'm off base. I don't want to be right about that shit late.
I mean,
Oh.
I mean, you're asking a question that could be realistic, man. You know, and I said this: if Trey was able to practice or play, today would have been the day you would have wanted to see him get some work, right? Well, he wasn't out there, and that's my point. So it's like, is he now all of a sudden miraculously going to be out there Friday? Probably not. So how do you get him ready for week 1 against Philadelphia? I just don't see it happening if he's not out there Friday. I don't know how. I mean, but again, there's other guys. There's several guys that were not out there that you say to yourself, if they're out there, we're having a different conversation, because when Adafe and Caleb Vaughn are out on the field, they're disruptive as hell, and they look all the part of legit edge rushers, and that defense, which is already making some noise, would be that much better for it. So again, with them not being out there, you can't really assess a whole lot of stuff because they didn't have the pass rush today. They didn't have it, and those are your two main guys that were out. So you get a guy like a Joshua Joseph, you have Dorrance Armstrong, you have Charles Omenihu. I mean, they've got edge rushers galore now that you put in there with Adafe and Caleb Vaughn. It changes the whole dynamic of their defense. Well, without those guys, they just look like the same old Washington defense that isn't getting a pass rush.
So the run game consisted of what? A bunch of Katron Allen, Robert Henry putting the ball on the ground. I imagine they were not able to establish the run at any point in practice today. And the connection messing up right now tells you that that is probably exactly the case from Owings Mills today. But oh man, I wanted Lake to tell me, Rio, Nick Allegretti and Amos are gonna find their.
Do I do. I feel like this team might just carry 3 backs, opening day, and the reason for that is because I think Jeremy McNichols now will be your 4th back. I thought Rob Henry had made the roster 2 weeks ago after Miami, but I think he might have played himself onto the practice squad because of putting the ball on the ground, and he's done it in every facet possible on special teams and in the run game. And you cannot do that and try to have a shelf life in the NFL. You can't.
This is concerning, man. It feels like we haven't had our top 2 running backs all summer. We don't know what the running game looks like for this team right now. And Robert Henry has fumbleitis now. Katron Allen, there's limited movement ability. So we don't even get to see what the running game is. So it's just Jaden back there putting the cape on again. Even Stephon Diggs is out there dropping passes late. What was going on with the offense today, man?
I mean, Terry dropped one too. Would have been a touchdown on a slant route, and Jaden put it right on him, and Terry tried to catch it with his body, and he dropped it. So it's just it's happened. And I will say this: I noticed in practice the other day some receivers dropping passes. Diggs was one of them. And I mean in their drills, just dropping passes, and then they would go back and do it over. So I don't know if it was a lack of concentration or not. I think, we're at that point now where guys are ready to be done with this. They're ready to be done with camp. But look what's looming. 2 divisional games to start your season on the road, and you're not playing your best football. Your best football, the best they looked was the beginning of training camp, not the end of training camp.
Yep. Sounds like we peaked in high school. Sounds like people that peaked in high school hit their adult life and continued to regress and fall into a dark place because they got their best out the way early. And I hate that for our football team. I hate that so much for our football team because the season starts in 2 weeks, man. 2 weeks from today, the NFL season starts.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear now. It's peaking early in training camp is not the things you want to see. And a lot of it, yes, does have to do with all the players that are missing practice. But we were just off as a team today. Jaden threw a couple picks today. Terry dropped a pass. Steph dropped a pass. Chig and Antonio Williams are the only offensive players I heard like positivity about today, other than the quarterback.
Oh no, I'm gonna snatch that away from Chig myself. He didn't do well at all.
Oh, really?
If you ask
Really?
me. Yeah,
Really?
he dropped several passes today.
Oh,
You
God.
know, and
What? Oh no.
yeah, he dropped several passes today.
You get a
and he
lot
got,
of conflicting reports on the timeline. Thank you for saying
I was standing right there, man. He dropped
Okay.
several passes, and he got trucked, like got knocked back on his butt, you know, on one. And so again, you know, it makes you wonder, like, what's the urgency level? And that's the question that I'm gonna ask Coach. You know, the next time I'm gonna ask him, like, Dan, like, what's the urgency level from your players? Because clearly you are talking about it, Durante, David, all you guys are talking about it as coaches. I didn't see the urgency. And if you think I'm the one that's making this up, when I get home and post my stand-up, you're going to see what Jeremy Reeves said if you haven't seen it already. And Jeremy was candid, and he said, we're not getting it done. Why are we starting so late too? Why do we have to make a play at the end of the game? Why can't we start that way? He was like, this isn't good, and we got to figure a way to get better. So it's not me. Brandon Coleman said the same thing. It's not me, but today might have been the worst day I've seen this team all training camp.
Whew. That is a lot to say. Having your worst day with outsiders being a part of it, man, that's a scary time to have. But talk to me about some good, man. Antonio Williams, he finally out there with Jaden in the ones late.
Man, yo, he was out there killing. And I mean, legit, like, he just does not look like a rookie, man. Like, he's as advertised. And we kept saying, you know, I was saying right here on your show, that kid, man, he's got something special. He's solidified as the number 3 receiver on this roster. There's no doubt. And I think he's going to play a big part of their offense, you know, in the pass game if Jaden gets that time that he needs. Because you're going to have to pick your poison. You're going to have to pick between Steph. You're going to have to pick between Terry. And then you got this young kid that some teams may not really know much about, that he's going to be open a lot. And he makes tough catches. The catch that he made over Antonio Hamilton. My goodness.
Kyle Hamilton.
Over Kyle Hamilton. I know. Over Kyle Hamilton. Yeah. That was a veteran tough catch. You know, over the shoulder, came down with it, and had a little chirpiness to him too out there today. He had a former Clemson teammate out there who was talking, and they were talking. But Antonio's one of them dudes. He's quiet, but on the field he just turns into a dog. You know, and that's what you want.
I love to hear that, man. Antonio Williams is an absolute dog. That's what I expect to see out of him. It feels like the team's been hiding him this preseason.
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to that whole adage of you're not seeing the playbook. You're not seeing a whole lot of what – I mean, you have to understand your first 2 games are against, you know, Dallas and Philly, or Philly and Dallas in that order, divisional games. They want the element of surprise. And you remember right here on your show when I got that call once I got home after, what was it, in OTAs, I got that call from Adam and Sean, like, hey, Lake, you can't mention these things. They want the element of surprise. So if that's the case, they're not showing their hand. I just pray, man, that those plays that David Blau has in his back pocket, I just pray that they work and give them some kind of continuity and fluidity on offense. Because right now it looks Sam Hartman like, you know, like or Sam Howell like, you know, like they just couldn't get any kind of momentum. And that's how it's looking right now when they go up against a physical team like Detroit on Saturday, and then you have this today. That's 2 back-to-back outings where their offense just could not do anything right.
And I don't want to go too far with my critique of what I've seen, because we haven't seen shit. Like the offense that I seen them run the 2 days I was out there at joint practice, we didn't really get a chance to get into it versus the Lions, and we were a broken version of ourselves versus the Ravens today. So I don't want to make that be like a microcosm of what the season's going to be like. But damn, is it getting concerning, and that panic meter in this fan base is starting to go up, and I can't blame anyone for it getting there.
Bro, yesterday on my show on the ESPN radio, I literally said, I asked the question, what's your panic level? And my producer said his panic level is literally, and he said it. He said his panic level is a 15. And I said, I only asked 1 through 10. So that tells you he was panicking. And he asked me what was mine. And I said, mine is probably about right now to 5. It's gone up today. It's probably a 7.5 right now for me. And that's, for me to say that, that's bad. So it's probably a 7.5 approaching 8 right now for me. They because if they can't fix this, they have no opportunity to do anything. They're not going to be able to protect their most prized asset, and that's Jaden. You're going to get that guy killed back there, because today, if this was live contact hit the quarterback, Jaden would have been down a couple times. They would have gotten to him a couple times today.
Oh, man. There were some good things I heard about the defensive side of the ball. But before we get there, just to close out the offensive side, fans want immediate action at the center position and on the offensive line. They signed DJ Humphries yesterday as depth. Probably is going to end up being more than depth, knowing how things have been shuffling here. What can they do? Like, centers don't be starting quality or really good backups that could come in and spot start aren't typically available to teams at this point. Is there something Adam Peters can do right now to make fans breathe easier going into the first week of the season in 2 weeks?
I mean, the first thing would be to find out that Nick is healthy, that he can get back in there, because that could give you some continuity, some stabilizing force. But how long could he play? That would remain to be seen. I do know the kid Glasgow, played in Detroit under David Blau, played with him actually. He's out there, and I think that might be a move that might be under consideration. I do know that they're going to go back today, watch this film, and see how bad it was. They saw it up close with their own eyes, but you can assess some things. So do you look at it and say, well, Matt did do some things well after he settled down? And he did, because he really did after he settled down. But sometimes you don't have the luxury, Rio, of getting a guy to settle down in a game, because that early mistake could cost you the game.
Yep.
So you're going to have to ask that question. Is it enough to give him another go at it? Say like Friday, you start him in the preseason game and see what he can do in that kind of situation. And then you make an assessment from there. But it's hard to just bring guys in and just plug them right in as starters, especially in a position like a center where you got to call your line checks. You've got to know the playbook. You got to have familiarity with who's now under center. So it's a lot of different variables to all this that you just can't bring people cold and off the street and expect for them to pick up next to a guy that's been working hard for the last month and a half of training camp. That's just not how it works.
So you're saying that the operation of the offense stems from whether Nick Allegretti can get healthy or not by the start of the season, Lee?
That's pretty much what I'm saying, brother. Like
that's a lot of power. That's a lot of power to give to Nicholas Allegretti, Lee.
That's a whole lot of power. But at this point, bro, if you told me if they tell us tomorrow that Nick is gonna not play Friday, but he's gonna practice, as of Wednesday of next week, I mean that's gonna be a welcome sight to behold. They need that, and if they can get that, then I will feel better, because everybody can go back to their natural spots and they know the guy next to him. I mean, remember, Nick was a guy that was getting pretty much most of the reps at center throughout the offseason. So that's the guy you want. You just drafted Matt. He wasn't even on the roster when Nick was getting reps. He hadn't even been drafted yet. So now you're throwing him to the fire, and One thing I will tell you about the Ravens, front in the interior on their defense, they've got absolute monsters in there. I mean, you got 6'5", 310 pounds, 6'5", 320 pounds. They're not moving, man. And you're putting a rookie in there, and he's probably, I know he came from the Big Ten and he's seen some dogs, but it's a different type of dog in the NFL at that size.
Yeah, man. Now I'm at a point where I feel like maybe I was wrong, and maybe they should have did what the Raiders did and just played an egregious amount of money for Tyler Lindenbaum. But hey, I hope Nick Allegretti is everything Dan Quinn tells us he is, because Dan Quinn swears by him, calls him potentially the smartest player on the team. I hope he gets healthy by week 1, and I hope he's everything they imagine him to be, because this fan base is going to hold Adam Peters to the fire if Allegretti goes out there and stinks it up this year.
Well, I think that's going to be the key thing right there. And you're right. Adam's my guy, but I got to tell you, this could go south real quick, because your most prized asset is your quarterback. And if anything, I'd rather you not have any wide receivers. I'd rather you not have any edge rushers before you have offensive linemen to keep Jaden upright. Because without number 5 on the field, you have no shot. You have no shot to even be good. So, you have to figure this out. But again, before I go off the deep end and totally jump, I'm going to say I believe in the talent that they do have in their starters on the line, but I think a lot of that's predicated on Nick being your center, and they're not having to overcompensate, because you have to think Sam Cosmi, Chris Paul, if you have Matt Goldman in there as your center, they're going to have to help him some, as opposed to worry about just sheerly their own assignment. And those are things that take away from what you can craft up play-wise and what you can do. And again, with Nick back in there, then you can run your normal playbook, and he is smart enough that he knows his check downs. It's like second nature to him. If you ask me what's the one word that I would say about Nick Allegretti to describe him, I'm going to say smart. That's the word I'm going to use. He's that intelligent. He's that savvy to know, but without him on the field, you're putting all your trust in a backup center and a rookie backup center. That ain't it, bro. That's
and
not
for real, Allegretti is a backup center too, because he's only started a handful of games or less at center in his career. So shit, man. It was like after Tyler Lindenbaum, it was like, all right, we'll be so good around the center, Allegretti will be fine. Because even the original plan, Biotish is out for the season. Like, this shit's crazy, Lake.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say about them not overpaying for Lindenbaum is, I mean, Lindenbaum reset the market, bro, for centers.
No,
like
3 times over.
The Raiders, yeah, the Raiders severely overpaid for him, but they did what they felt like they needed to do. They got a rookie quarterback, that obviously may not start right away, and Fernando Mendoza, but they wanted to make sure they had an investment in front of him that would be there for the foreseeable future when Mendoza does ultimately become their starter. So I think with Washington, it's almost as if they felt good about the line, because quiet has kept the offensive line for Washington last year, Rio, was actually their strength. It was actually one of their better units. And some fans might scoff at that, but I think
I defended it in the offseason. I feel you. I agree.
Yeah, it was one of their better units, if not their best unit. So you felt pretty good going into this, but no one knew Laramie was going to get hurt. And when Laramie gets hurt, it changes the whole dynamic of that line. I can tell you today, some of the guys that were coming around the edge, they wouldn't have been able to do that against Laramie. So is it fair to say that some of them did it against Josh, some of them did it against Brandon? I mean, they're not Laramie by any means, and so people have to take that and understand it. You're talking about 2 lesser talents than Laramie, and I don't say that to be disrespectful, because I think both those 2 young guys have a Pro Bowl in their future. They're that talented and athletic, but they're young and they're not seasoned, and it's going to take some time to gel with a guy next to you that is worried about the guy in the middle of him, and that's the center spot. So again, Chris Paul and now Sam Cosmi are going to be asked to do more to protect who's there at center if there's no Nick Allegretti.
So let's move over to a side of the ball that even without some of the heavy hitters and we didn't get the pressure that we anticipate Oweh, Chason, and those guys and the whole Deron Payne and company are going to be getting when the regular season comes. The defense didn't have as awful a day as the offense, right?
No, not at all. Defense actually at times made some plays. Lamar had a pick, So I mean, they did do some things. I did see a couple younger guys that the unheralded guys in the trenches, Byron Coward and some of these guys are doing well, man. I mean, and these are backups. Let's just call it like it is, man. These are backups. So I'm not worried about the defense at all. Ironically, isn't that crazy that we're saying that? Like, I think the defense is going to be the strength of this team this year, and I mean that many times over. They're going to be that good. That defense has top 10 ranking in their immediate future. But again, if your offense can't do anything and get you points, you're going to keep that defense out on the field longer than they need to be, and then they'll start giving up plays, and people are going to start saying the defense stinks. So like Dan Quinn said, he literally said he doesn't feel like they've been playing complementary football. The offense has to complement the defense. The defense is doing their part. They're creating turnovers. They're creating quarterback pressures. But the offense isn't doing anything with the ball when they get it.
Oh, man, we need to see Oweh and Chason back out there because they've been rocking it out all summer. They've looked so good. Mikey Sanders it's still the same as always. There's bad, and then he makes
Feast
up
or famine.
for it. Yep. He's either getting burnt or he's finding ways to put his hands on the football. He got a pick. Was his pick on Lamar Jackson today?
Yep, it was on Lamar. It was the last play of the game or last play of the practice, and it was a really nice play. I mean, he reached the ball at his highest point. Went up and got it, and the defense, everybody ran out on the field. Kind of like some chastising of the Ravens, because the Ravens were doing it as well. So, I mean, it was a good play. It was the last play of the game, though. So again, or last play of the practice. So where is this early in the practice? Where is this when it matters? When they're trying to do something early that wasn't there. So that's what Jeremy Reeves was talking about, where this team has to find a way to come out fast out the gate and set the tone and establish themselves. And they did. I don't think the defense did that until later on, and where they did start to flip the script a little bit, but they didn't come out with the intensity that I was expecting to see.
Whew, man, I seen a clip of Nick Cross in a one-on-one with Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews ran the most Drewski route I've ever seen and somehow still won the rep versus Nick Cross. I said, not Cross, man. Not one of our better players that we got out there right now. Who flashed today? Kane Madrano caught an interception today, right?
Yep, Kane Madrano had a nice little interception, and I know Durante likes Kane quite a bit. He loves his athleticism, loves his speed, loves his mind. Like, Kane's a smart player. He just, I think the thing Kane was up against last year was the physical element of the game. He was a little undersized. Like, you could have made an argument that Kane could have been a legit, legit safety, in the box, because that was his frame. Where he's put on some weight, and I think with Jordan McGee being nicked up and not really participating, it's opened up the door for Kane, and I think he sees the moment to the point where I'm like 98% certain he's on the roster.
Oh man, what a day, and not a good way, that took place out there in Owings Mill today. I appreciate the over 1,000 people we have watching right now. I'm trying to get to some positivity because the season's not over. The season hasn't even begun, but it's very doom and gloom out in these burgundy and gold streets right now, coming off a joint practice where you could say the Baltimore Ravens outclassed the Commanders today. Talk to me about some more of the secondary players. Jeremy Reeves starting at free safety. I know that's your boy, Lake. It concerns me. How did he look out there today?
I mean, he said it himself. He got to get better. He got caught peeking in the back once and got beat deep. The receiver got by him, and you can't have that happen. You just can't. Jeremy's one of those smart players, and he's sneakily, I don't even know if there's a word sneakily, but he's sneaky athletic. And Jeremy's one of their fastest players. That's one thing people don't realize. But he's legit one of their top 3, 4 fastest players on the roster, and that's why Durante has him in there for that athleticism and speed. But the decision making, and he said it today. He said we've got to do a better job communicating. That kind of gave me chills, Rio, because let's call it like it is. We know defensively, this team over the years, past several years, under different coordinators, have been terrible in the communication game. Well, I thought communication most of camp has been pretty good. Today there were breakdowns, and I don't know if it's them, working things that they're not comfortable doing. Because I was told that with joint practices, they're not necessarily running the things that they do great. They're working on the things that they need work on, that they have to get better on. And today was, if it was any microcosm, Washington's got a lot of work to do on a lot of things that they're not doing well right now. So to get back to it with Jeremy, I think he's going to be fine, but is he the answer at safety long term? I'm not sure. I do know that there's a lot of love in the building for Tyler Owens. Durante and company feel like they can unlock him, that they can get the best out of him. They just have to reach him communication wise to get that best out of him. But we're seeing signs and flashes all the time. He's just got to be more consistent. So I think in that safety room in the back, I don't know. I feel like they've got enough pieces to collectively be a good safety, but I don't know if they got that lights out playmaking dog back there. That remains to be seen.
Yeah, they don't. And we think Nick Cross can be a really good safety for us, but we don't have a single rangy midfielder deep safety on the roster. And that's a position I'm going to be looking very hard at myself. Hopefully Adam Peters is doing the same when those roster cuts come out on Sunday. The safety position scares me opposite Nick Cross. And honestly, we haven't even seen enough Nick Cross in situations to see how he's going to be utilized in the game. And our rookie first-round middle linebacker has become the most polarizing rookie in the NFL. Have you been seeing the discourse on social media lately?
Yeah, I don't like it, man. I don't like it at all, because one thing I do know with Sonny is Sonny has retained the playbook, and now they have him doing some mic stuff, some green dot stuff every now and then, to mix it up, give him some more range to his game, some more things that he can do. And so I think because of that, the onus of what he does great, they don't even focus on that right now, because they're trying to get what he doesn't do great caught up to speed, and then it'll all come together. So when I see those narratives that are out there that he's struggling and he hasn't done anything, that is not true at all.
So when Nikki tweeted earlier that this is the worst that she's ever seen the offense in years, inoperable offensive line. So you've seen the EB fiasco with Sam Howell a couple years ago. You've seen a few things over these last few years. Is this the worst it's looked today out there versus the Baltimore Ravens?
I'm just going to say it again. It's the worst I've seen them during training camp. So I can't go back and say all those other years, because I saw some trash back then too. But I just, again, see, the thing that's different, Rio, what Cliff was running was part of his playbook. You saw that in training camp. You did. And teams were waiting for him too when the regular season came around. Years before that, you saw some guys that were just in over their head. You saw it with Ron Rivera and his offensive coordinator. I think David's different here. I think David knows that he can't show his hand at all. He can't show any gimmicky plays. You just hope that your offense can run base packages and be able to hand the ball off and get a couple yards here, or throw a quick slant and your receiver catches it. But none of that stuff was working, and it compounded itself because it made everybody look bad. Like, this might sound crazy, but I was a little embarrassed, man. Like, I was a little embarrassed, because I'm Washington media. I'm there. And I'm like, I know some of them Ravens folks was like, this is this is them. Like you didn't get a chance to see the full gamut of what this team can be.
And A squad's
And
not there.
right. The A squad's not there, but you do have to start asking the question.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys that we saw today is the next man up if something happens
Yep.
to the A squad. And if that's the case, it would be a long year in Washington if you had to go to that well too many times.
And the question that connects to that exact point is, so the season starts in 2 weeks. The first game of the NFL season is 2 weeks from today. How many of those dudes are going to be available? Because I want to be in it. I want to be Delulu. I want to be that Delulu positive fan that says, oh, they would all play if there was a game this Sunday. They would all be out there. But is that the case with most of these guys not named Allegretti and Amos?
I would say outside of Nick and outside of Trey, I would say 90% of those guys will be suited up in Philadelphia. So that should give you a little hope to make you feel better. But what would give everybody the proper amount of hope is to get some kind of sustained success, in your drives. Like even if it's in Detroit, against Baltimore on Friday, yeah, I know starters probably won't play at all, but you still, even if it's Ethan, Cali McManus, you want some kind of sustained success to see that your playbook can work, and we haven't seen it because what happened was, you go back to the Dolphins preseason game, they looked pretty bad compared to how they looked against the Dolphins in the joint session. The joint session, they were dominant. I gave everybody an A minus grade outside the offensive line. The offensive line, I just gave a B. They did some things well, but they also could have gotten better. So I think right now, if you can get another assessment on Friday of some of these guys, then you might be able to say, okay, it's not that bad. It can be better, but they did do this, in a preseason game. But we didn't see that last week against Detroit at all. We saw the defense come out, made a couple plays, two straight drives to start the game. They created turnovers. One was a touchdown. But offensively, they stunk, and that's not good.
I know the answer to this question because it's the final preseason game and I know how NFL teams operate. But if you were in Dan Quinn's shoes, would you throw a mixture of starters out there on Friday versus the Ravens?
I would say yes, but the fact that that's your only game and then you got the Eagles coming up, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say get your guys healthy. They've had enough practices in training camp. They've had enough practices in OTAs and mini camp that they know what they're doing and they know what they're doing collectively. So I would say they have to come on, brother. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get over, and this dude driving super slow, not knowing what he want to do, man.
It's all good, man, but we gotta get you home safely, man.
Yeah, so yeah, I just again, I would say no. I would say no, you can't play them. They missed their opportunity. They had joint sessions, and maybe you just learn from the joint session. You go back and watch the film and say, you didn't do this good. We're going to work on that in practice and get better at it. But I do know that they've got a slew of plays that they do great, that you'll see those in Philadelphia. Now, if those plays don't work, I think it would be fully blown panic mode if they come up in Philadelphia and don't do anything. Then you should really worry. So for that, until that happens, Rio, I'm gonna stay a little reserved on this.
Mm-hmm. And I know you're someone who always sees the glass half full. You try to be as positive as you can be most of the time. Has your outlook on the 2026 I don't mean to keep referencing things written and said by your peers and stuff, but I was reading a Nikki article in The Athletic that says 7-8 wins may be too high for this team in 2026, and that shit, I don't want to hear that shit. Like, she might be right, but I don't want to hear that shit, and I'm not gonna live in a reality where that could be the case for us this year. But have you come off of some of the feelings that you stated earlier on in the summer and when training camp started?
100% I have. Yes, I have. And I was saying that this team, before camp, with everything they had, I'm like, this team, 10-win team, things go well, balls bounce the right way, maybe 11, max 12. I don't see that right now. I just don't. I don't. I don't see 10 wins. I'm looking at, you might be looking at 7, 8.
Oh,
If with everything the way it is right now as we speak, and that's just being real, man. One thing I'm a positive person, but I also try to tell the truth all the time. And they don't look good right now. They don't. They don't look like what I had been seeing just a week and a half ago. When they brought Steph in, that offense looked real good, man.
no, it
Then
feels like we're
Laramie
living in a
gets,
different universe than the day we brought Steph in. Everything was kumbaya, flowers, sunshine, and rainbow. Boy, have we come downhill since.
yeah, because you gotta think the day Steph came in practice is not the day Laramie got hurt.
The
So
next day. Yep.
the next day he got hurt. So ever since then it's gone backwards. And the Dolphins practice, I was feeling really good, man. Like that joint session, they dominated Miami, and I'm like, okay. Some pundits had Washington, as a 6-7 win team, and they had the Dolphins as a 4-5 win team, and I'm like, ain't no way in hell, from what I just saw, that this team is anything close to a 4-5 win football team. This is a 10, 11, 12, 13 win team the way I was seeing it, because I saw Dafe out there and I saw Caleb Vaughn out there, and they weren't even getting tackles, weren't even putting a finger on them. So I'm like, and then they're going to get some guys coming back. Trey's going to come back. I was feeling real good. But now it's just like, is this defense, can it be good enough? Can it really be good enough to carry them early in the season and steal a game or two just off of defense alone? I'm hoping that that's the case, because that's the case they need it to be in order to have any kind of success, because offensively there's no rhythm at all, because there's no Bill, there's no Rashad. Your offensive line right now isn't playing well. So Jaden's not able to drop back, survey the field, boom, go here, read his first target, look off his first target, go to his second target, go to his third read. He's not able to do that, bro. He's almost what people were not wanting to see last year. He's almost locked on a guy because he doesn't have time, and we can't have that if they want to have any success. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, because that's not my style. I don't want to have to be that, but I don't want to lie to the fans either, because they don't deserve that. They deserve the truth.
So it sounds like there's a good chance that Washington, while hosting the draft in 2027, is going to be picking a lot earlier than later in the night. And that shit just breaks my heart, because we're supposed to be hype at this time of year. This is when we're supposed to be delusionally confident in the team. I just made my prediction at our live event on Sunday that we're going to go, I think it was 10-7 or 11-6. I don't know, one of the two. Probably 10-7.
I mean, they still, but they still can though, bro.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, don't think that this is over. It hasn't even started. Yeah. I mean, it's August 26th, man. I mean, or what's today's date? My days are
it's
off.
August. I think it is August 26th. And I feel like as long as Jaden is on this team and his weapons are healthy and the actual backs are out there, even with a shit line, I'm of the belief that they're going to he's going to drag this team to 9 or 10 or 11 wins. But everybody in the world is telling me the opposite, and that shit is pissing me off right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. We do have some members in the media that their style is to be more negative. That's just, everybody has different styles. I think if you got us all on a common ground, we would all agree that Jaden had a hell of a camp. Looks great. We would all agree that Terry had a hell of a camp. Looked great. Bill, hell of a camp. Looked great. Brandon Coleman, even in switching positions, had a hell of a camp. Sam Cosme, hell of a camp. Rashad White, you can see why they brought him in to be that pass-catching guy. That's a bigger back. He kind of looks like a big wide receiver playing running back. And then, of course, Steph Diggs comes in, and he's always open. in practice at least. And then on the defensive side, those edge rushers are the truth, man. Those Washington hasn't had, and I'm going to say it, and I don't care who takes it the wrong way. Washington has not had a tandem of edge rushers like what I have seen in Caleb Vaughn and Adafe since Dexter Manley and Charles Mann. You gotta go that far back. Don't even mention Chase Young and Montez Sweat. They ain't even in the same sentence as what those two guys are capable of being together.
Yep, especially in Durante's scheme. Yep.
In Durante's scheme, and let's not even talk about that. They've got a competent, communicative defensive coordinator, okay? So that all these guys love his system. Look at what he's doing in resurrecting Quan Martin's career. Look at what he's doing with Tyler Owens. He's given those guys opportunities to be players that can make an impact on the defense this year. So I just said a bunch of things that are positives. You got a kicker now that can kick the ball to the next planet, so that's what I'm saying. Who, by the way, today didn't miss anything. So he was automatic. And what I saw, at least when I went to the other side of the field, I'm not sure if they had him kick anymore. So unless he missed some after I left, he was automatic from what I saw. And them things were hitting the light that was behind the goalpost. So, you know what I mean? So those are all positives. So it's not like the Covets are bare and they don't have any ingredients up in there to work with and season things. They've got everything they need to be good. Not okay, but to be good. But again, it's crazy to think that one spot could dictate and tear apart your season before it starts. And that's the center spot. If Nick can come back, I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be a good football team. And I think your assessment and your prediction, Rio, I don't think it's far off at all. I think it's right there. It's dead on. I still think they're a 10-win football team, 11 wins if things go the way they could. If it goes great, you get a Hail Mary like you did a couple years ago, you get 12, okay? But from what you see today, and it's not a game, it's a joint session. And those joint sessions are, again, I want fans to understand this. You do things in joint sessions that you don't do well. That's what those are for. It's not for you to run your A-list offense or all your best plays. It's for you to work on the things you've been struggling with consistently, and you saw it today on display what they were struggling against. So that's not masking this or trying to like sugarcoat it. It's just saying the same thing against the Dolphins and joint practices. They worked on things that they hadn't done well, and they looked well doing them in that day. Today, they didn't look good. So you got to take it with a grain of salt, and you just have to hope that, they can shore up some things, cut down days coming Sunday. Maybe there's somebody else that you can pull in there. You know what I'm saying? That can help your cause. But for right now, though, I will say I don't want to say discouraged, but I would say I'm definitely disappointed in what I saw today.
And I think that's okay to feel that way. I don't think anyone should be upset about what you're saying. And as much as I think that we're fully capable if Jaden in the offense is hitting, because I do think our roster is still significantly better. The roster that will be out there in September is significantly better than the roster from 2024. And the flip side to that argument is that our schedule is way different than the schedule we had in 2024, coming off a 4-13 season. So something's got to give at some point,
Yeah, as I always tell people, every team in the NFL got to play the games, and it's the NFL. If you sleep on any given, day of the week, because I can't say Sundays anymore because they playing on Saturdays, Fridays, Thursdays, Wednesdays, Mondays. So literally, if you sleep in whatever week you have your game, you're going to lose. So I don't go by that strength of schedule stuff. I know a lot of people weigh into that. Yeah, do they have some tough teams? Of course they do. Just their division alone is going to be tough. But you know what? No one cried for the old days when the schedules came out. If you're good, you're good. You play your games, you lace them up, you strap up the 10 strap, and you go get it. So I don't want to hear, they got this tough schedule, so that takes them off the hook. No, Because guess what? When they pounded Miami, you know, in the joint practices a week and a half ago, people were saying it's the Dolphins. It doesn't matter. We'll find out about where they are against Baltimore. Well, we were just there today, and we found out that they didn't look like they did against Miami. So, you know, what is it? Is it 50% half full, or is it 50% full? We don't know, and that's why I'm saying we're not going to know much about this football team until after week 1. That's the litmus test for me. If they go to Philadelphia and stink the joint up, then we might have to start reassessing Rio. This is going to be a long year. But if they go to
Yeah, man.
Philadelphia, and let's just say they go to Philadelphia and still lose, but it's a close football game, you'll feel better. What happens if they go to Philadelphia and they win? Are we going to say, oh, it's because Philadelphia has, you know, Sean Mannion, a new offensive coordinator?
I'll take a dub. However, I get a dub, especially in the division.
Right, but you know, people are going to say, the naysayers are going to say, oh, they got a new coordinator. Jalen Hurts can't throw, you know, intermediate routes in the middle of the field. That's not what he's good at. And they got a new defensive coordinator, or not defensive coordinator, but they got a new defensive line coach because Christian Parker is now in Dallas. I mean, it's always going to be something. The only way you shut that mess up is you go up there and you get a dub. You find a way to win. And I will say this. I predicted that they were going to win their first 2 games on the road this year. But that was with everybody when everybody was healthy. Now, if you ask me that question, I'm going to tell you, that's a daunting task to do that. Is it possible? Are they capable? If Nick can come back and they can get Bill healthy and they can get Trey back and they can get basically Adafe, Caleb Vaughn, if they can get their starters back, I think this football team is going to be a good football team. I truly believe that.
Yep. If we can get those starters back and they can stay on the field, my guy Sean had mentioned, my guy Mamba Fats mentioned, Jaden said something in his presser today about everyone in the organization has their job to do. And he asked, was that not a shot necessarily, but a very clear message to the organization that it's time to do something. Also, I'll have a follow-up to that. If this season goes to hell, is Adam Peters and Dan Quinn back in 2027?
100% they are. Yes.
Both of them.
Both of them. Yes, because you have to know the pulse of the locker room.
Yeah, and the ownership.
And the ownership. And I can say this. The players absolutely love Dan Quinn. When I tell you they love that guy, they'll throw hands to you. They'll throw hands over Dan Quinn. Because he's that nice of a person, and he's got a mindset of what he knows what he's trying to accomplish, and I think they're going to be fine. I do. I think they've got 2 really good young coordinators that are going to wow some people with their imagination and how they do stuff. And again, they're not showing you their hand. So we've gone through this before, Rio. Not you and me specifically. I'm just saying, like, as a fan base, we've seen Washington not be able to do anything in the preseason. Hell, I remember, you know, I'm much older than you, but I remember when Joe Gibbs was around, his teams were going 0-4 in the preseason almost consistently. And people were like, it's the preseason, because they knew what this team was going to do when the regular season came around. Yep. I'm not saying this team has the luxury of having that benefit of the doubt because they haven't proven anything yet. Those were Super Bowl quality teams back then. But I just think it's a little early to hit the sheer panic meter to the point where you don't have hope anymore. Don't do that to yourself, my friends. If you're listening or watching, don't do that to yourself, because you saw, like you said, Rio, a severely less talented roster in 2024 and a severely less coached team in 2024 get all the way to the conference championship game. This team right now on paper, talent-wise, man, we shouldn't even be having this conversation. They are much more talented. And again, now you got a better defensive coordinator. I know people are going to say he hasn't coached the game yet. I don't need to wait for that to tell you they got a much better defensive coordinator in Durante Jones. And I like what David Blau. That's the key. What is David Blau going to do? I think Durante's already earned the benefit of the doubt, because you can see with your own eyes what the defense is doing, how they look different and they look more aggressive, and they're corner blitzing. When was the last time you saw a corner blitz like you saw in Detroit last week?
Yeah, I know. It made me stand up like, oh, we moving different around here.
Right, and that's a preseason package. That's not a real regular season package. So we already know Durante's coming with that heat. Now we got to see David do it, and David's gonna have to figure some things out because I hate to say it, right now because of the lack of pass blocking, I'm seeing a lot of passes being made to the perimeter. It looks a little Cliff Kingsbury-ish right now, because that's all they can do. But they're gonna have to fix that. They're gonna have to change that up for sure.
Absolutely. So what I'm gonna do real quick, I'm gonna give Lake a second to grab a snack while he's in the whip, grab a drink. I'm gonna we gotta pay the bills around here. We're gonna get a word from Prize Picks, and we're gonna bring Lake back to go through these super chats. And I got some more questions for Lake. So you already know what time it is. Everything on the channel in the 2026 season is brought to you and powered by Prize Picks. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. New user offer right now. You play $5 on the Prize Picks app. You hit on a lineup of 2 picks or more, and you get $150 in bonus bets to play with. Prize Picks is available in over 35 states, including Virginia, California, Florida, and Texas. Please get Maryland situated really soon. Prize Picks, give a guy a break here. I'm trying to spread the wealth, and I live in the DMV. The D and the V are covered. Let's get Maryland some action on there. My Rio Lay futures ticket for the NFL for 2026 that has a few people tagging along, because you can follow me on the Prize Picks app at Rio Robinson 91, is Bijan Robinson for over 1,250 rushing yards, Josh Allen for 4,000 passing yards, Jaden for 25 touchdowns. Do y'all still believe Jaden's throwing 25 touchdowns? Because I damn sure do. Because if there's not many things I know about this team, I know what Jaden Daniels is capable of. And if he's out there for the majority of the season, which I expect him to be, even with this shite offensive line that is out there right now, I still think Jaden is going to have a season. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for 1,000 yards. I think every day that passes, it starts to make me question putting this on the ticket. But I'm of the belief that if there's a 2 running back committee system, Bill gets more carries than Rashad White. He'll get to 200 carries. If he gets to 200 carries, he will get to 1,000 yards. 1,000 yards in a 17-game season is only 57 yards a game. If we can't get that from Bill Krosky-Merritt, running back will be high on the list of shopping cart needs in 2027. Jahmyr Gibbs, just like Bijan, he doesn't have his handcuff backfield terrorists in the room with him anymore. He doesn't have Monty there anymore. He has Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco stinks. 1,750 total yards between rushing and receiving is definitely going to happen as long as Jahmyr Gibbs stays healthy. Both of those dudes cashed out this offseason. Josh Allen's going to throw for 4,000 yards because he finally has firepower around him to do so. I've seen him do it without firepower. And Kyler Murray, as long as his little ass stays on the football field this year, he has more than enough weapons in Minnesota to complete 18 touchdowns in 2026. So shout out to Prize Picks one more time for sponsoring this stream, this video, and everything on the channel. I'm going to get to some of these super chats in just a second, and I'm going to bring my brother Lake back in, and we're going to talk about some of the comments, and I got some more questions for him as well, man. How's your week been so far, man? How was the trip up to Detroit?
It was good, man. I had a chance to catch up with a good friend of mine lives up there, my boy Brad. So he, took the last day after the game, he took myself, Auntie, and Candy, took us to this soul food spot in the hood that was, when I tell you, off the chain, bro, off the chain. I slept well when I got back to the hotel. But yeah, we had a great time, man. Outside of the game, we had a great time. always. Yeah. The best food spots be in the most dangerous of places, man. That's where you got to take a risk to get good eats out there, man. Oh yeah, but shout out to my guy, well, he kept
Daddy.
forewarning us. He was like, "We don't have to do this. We don't."
No, yeah. It'd be like
he was
that.
Like, we don't
when
have
I
to
give
do
people,
it. He said, "Yeah."
When I give people Chinese food recommendations in DC, that shit, like I tell them to go to the most dangerous places. Like that's where you're gonna find it.
That's where you're gonna find the best. He was like, but y'all got y'all, you got your suit on, they got this dresses and stuff on. And I'm like, bro, I'm from DC, man. I'm good. Trust me, trust me, trust me. So he was like, okay, I didn't know, man. He was like, you don't know where people from and stuff. He said, you don't carry yourself. And I said, listen, just because you're from the hood don't mean you got to carry yourself like that at all
Mhm.
times. I mean, listen, there's a time and place for everything. But nah, man, I got not to stray, but just to let you know, I got some ribs, some greens, some
Okay.
black eyed peas, some
Okay.
lima beans, and
Oh, that's
I
good
think
eats.
I think they got some hush puppies or something in there too. It was a straight soul food spot. So
Mhm.
Candy and them got like some peach cobbler with their stuff, some
Oh
catfish.
yeah.
It was off the chain, man. It was really good.
I bet that shit was fairly priced too.
Bro, I pay for everybody. I always pay for
Big
the
baller.
family group.
Let me hold
I mean,
something, Lake.
come on. No, but I always pay for my girls. That's what I say when we travel. But yeah, I got it, and I think for all four of us, because I got my boy Brad too, and everybody had like three sides with their meat. I think it total came to like 110. So I'm like, bro, that's nothing. Like, and I mean that, like, for the amount of food that we had, that was perfect. Considering earlier in the day, or the day before on Friday, I paid for at this restaurant, and that joint was almost $300, and I was a little
Oof.
salty about that because
Oof.
I'm like, the service was bad and the food wasn't good at all. I got like shrimp and grits that was like damn near eating some pudding.
Oh man. Oh, that's not it. Oh, that's not it,
Yeah,
man.
the
But
grits weren't consistent at all.
ESPN Radio Lake got it on them, man. Hey, ESPN, hey, I see you, man. You thriving out here, boy. I see you.
I'm just like I tell people, I'm blessed, and you can't take it with you. So I try to do what I can to help my folks. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yes, sir, man. Shout out to my guy Gaddy in the chat. Said that boy said the pizza got no family. So the context of that is at our Commanders Kings live event show at DC that went phenomenally on Sunday. My brother Lou is a vegan and he orders pizza with no cheese, like no sauce, and a bunch of random vegetable toppings on. It looks like he just threw toppings on a cardboard, man. And that pizza, that joint was a real topic of discussion at our show the other day.
So he'll like this. With my diet and all that stuff, I try to watch what I eat, and I don't really eat pizza or anything like that. I don't
Mhm.
eat bread. Well, today up in Baltimore, they bought Lido's pizzas in there, and me being from back up around the way, that Lido's was the spot, and I was a little salty because they didn't have veggie pizza. So yeah,
Yeah, that's so you might
I had to
enjoy
pick.
this bullshit pizza that Lou like.
I mean, hey man, hey listen, what your boy Martin say? I don't I don't, what did he say? He said, I don't live to eat, I eat to
To
live.
live. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I feel you, man. Shout out to my guy Lou, by the way. Love that guy. My guy, no name here today, says Nick has only 2 starts at center. This is malpractice, and that goes back to the conversation we had. We're putting a lot of no one man should have all that power, and especially a man named Nick Allegretti. It's a lot. It's a lot to put on this guy, man.
No, well, first of all, I will say, I was surprised that they went into the season with not a sheer competition at center. I was surprised by that because I do think you can't just hand it to somebody and expect great results, especially if they don't have a history of man in that position. Now Nick did play center at Illinois in college in the Big Ten, so I know he's capable of doing it. Matt obviously played at Michigan State in the Big Ten, so I know he's capable of doing it. But doing it from the off the cuff, right off the top, that's a whole nother story. So I thought that they would have another veteran in there to challenge Nick and let the best man win. But now you're looking at it as at a point where not only if Nick can't do it, who's there to help after that?
Right.
You're gonna entrust a rookie, who was having some struggles today, Are you going to entrust a guy that's really suited to be a guard and Julian Good Jones? You can't do that, man. So if you're going to experiment, then hell, I'll put Humphreys at left tackle and put Brandon Coleman at center. If you want to experiment and see how it looks.
And 2 weeks out before the start of a season, nobody should be doing science experiments, and that's the whole issue.
Not at all. Not at all.
Entire issue.
That's a problem. So now you see why you don't see the chipper Cherry Lake today. You know what I'm saying? Like when I did my stand up afterwards, I'm like, damn, man, what are my talking points gonna be? Because it was bad, you know. So I had to start it by saying that they came up there looking for, you know, some clarity on some things, and they're leaving with more questions that have to be answered. And now you're running out of time because now the season's here. Like, there's no more after Friday. There's no more preseason, and you and I both know starters weren't playing Friday anyway. So it's now a matter of, what are you gonna do? You know, like literally, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna, this car in front of me, man? I'm sorry, bro. Like, you gotta do better than that. And you're on your phone. That's why.
You at least in Virginia yet or nah?
Bro, I'm almost at Fredericksburg. I'm passing.
Okay.
I already passed Fredericksburg.
Okay.
And we've been on the phone since 30 minutes out of Owings Mills. So yeah, man, it told me I was gonna take 3 hours to get here, and then now it's saying 2:10. So I'm okay with that.
Hey man, hey, we love to hear a safe commute. PCC 1901. I appreciate you for joining up the Rambler family. I appreciate all of y'all for tuning in to streams like today, where we get the privilege to speak to credentialed media. My guy, NFL insider, friend of the show, and in real life, Lake Lewis Jr., giving us his immediate reactions after practice. So didn't really get too much time to let things marinate. We're getting his raw thoughts after practice. Don't take this shit for granted, and you don't find this all over the place on YouTube. So, like, once again, we appreciate you for taking part of this, man. We're going through the comments right now. Back to what my guy Mamba Fats was saying, man. Shout out to my guy Sean. What it do, man? Late, he said, late, these dudes are working hard, but they're still shite. Why do they wait so late to make moves? This shite kills me.
Man, that's a great question, and I wish I could answer that. And I do know every year around this time they make a trade, right? They always do. They make a trade to enhance the roster. Is there a trade in them to get in a center, a quality center? And I mean a center that might make them lose his job. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you need. I'm not referring to what Jaden said and thinking that's what he meant. But I do know guys aren't stupid, you know. They know when they see, okay, something's not working here and we running out of time. So something's got to get done, and I hate that they do have to wait this late. Like I said, I wish they would have had a center in, another veteran center with actual game reps at center in the NFL that could challenge, you know. So I don't know. Maybe you guys see who's out there. I don't know if Larson is out there. I don't know. I mean, there's got to be some guys out there that you might be able to bring in here. The question again, though, is that are they going to know the system? Are they going to know the checkdowns at the line? Are they going to know their assignments? And more importantly, are they going to be able to keep Jaden upright? So now you just don't find those type of players readily available until you wait to see who's maybe cut or waived after Sunday. That's what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to be looking at that waiver wire and seeing if there's a guy out there that's a cap casualty because of money. Or something like that they can bring in here, but how good do you feel that you bring that person in here if Allegretti can't play against Philly and you're plugging that guy in against Philadelphia against, you know, Carter and Davis? I mean, come on, man, that's wishful thinking right there.
Yeah, man. We hope that this all turn. I don't think it's a lack of trying on Adam Peters' end. They aggressively pursued a bunch of shit in free agency, but Adam Peters is a very penny pinching, shrewd negotiator. He's not. We would have shamed him out of town for paying Tyler Lindenbaum what the Raiders paid him, but he might have been right if he did that shit.
Well, that's the thing, and I was told, by somebody I do trust that they had an agreement, like supposedly like a handshake agreement, pretty much with Lindenbaum, and I just think that when the Raiders came in and made you the highest paid center in history, you can't turn that money down, can you? No way. So, I mean, yeah, if you're Adam, you don't want to overpay, so you didn't. But now it seems like, was there anybody else out there? Because there was some other free agent centers but I guess if you feel like you have like a gentleman's agreement, I guess, with your top prospect and the number one free agent center, and you all of a sudden at the last second it goes haywire and you don't get them. Maybe you didn't have that plan B. Maybe the plan B was to have Nick be your backup. So now Nick's thrust into your center role because Rio, there's no way under God's green earth that I believe that they would just flat out release Tyler without knowing that they had their center in play. It just doesn't make sense. That's malpractice, right?
And that Washington Commanders tax karma, that shit stretches out so far. Even Tyler Biadasz is out for the season this year. Hopefully he gets a speedy recovery, man. So our options A, B, and C, it's just we don't have anything at the center position this year, man.
Man, they on D and E right now. Like, damn. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy.
They've got to figure it out. I know my boy Trent, is taking some snaps at center in practice. I mean, listen, you gotta at this point, I don't care what the name is, you've got to find a viable combination of 5 to put on that offensive line to protect number 5. So you need a viable 5 to protect 5. And I just don't see it right now. And it is alarming. It's very alarming because I know Laramie's a dog and he's that guy. Shout out to him too, because on Friday, what's today? My days are off too.
Wednesday.
What's today?
Today's Wednesday.
Damn. So, man, these training camp days get you. So, 2 days ago or 3 days ago? Anyway, he had 2 food trucks out there for the players and media, and he was out there, and he was out there with his arm brace. Yeah, he was out. Oh my God, bro! I don't eat oysters, but he was like, "Lake, you gotta try my oysters, man." And I'm like, "What?" So he said, "Try it."
He's such a baller.
What you mean, man? I'm just saying. So he told me you gotta try them. So Auntie and me go over and we get them, but they had oysters with shredded chicken and like a jerk seasoning over them. Hey, it was like that. it was like that. So I told him, I said, "Yo, those are what's up." So, but I say that because his leadership qualities, bro, are what this offensive line's missing more than anything else. It's his stableness that he brought to the table, outside of the fact that he's a dog player, was the fact that his leadership qualities just oozed out onto all those guys. Because Josh looked like a lost puppy right now without Laramie. He absolutely does.
Hey, Josh better tighten the fuck up, Lake. He a first round pick, bro. He a first round pick, and we gotta hold him to that, bro. He better tighten up, bro.
I know. Well, he was a little ticked off too coming off the field today. Good. I got it all, bro. So make it sound everybody right now. Probably in about 6:37, you're gonna see my stand up, and you'll see all like a lot of guys are on there talking. And it was definitely a tense tone coming from some of these guys. Like, they gotta get better. So there's no. And I said I want to see the urgency, Rio. I think the urgency kicked in today. I think these guys saw that they got, and I can say it on your show. I think they saw that they got their ass beat today, and now it's like, whoa, wait a minute, we gotta do better than this. You can't have individual plays every now and then where guys look great, but then consistently don't look great. You gotta put this together and you gotta figure it out. And I know Coach Quinn has been harping on energy. He's been harping on playing with urgency and stuff like that. Well, I think today they know So maybe Friday in the preseason game, even though it'll might be a lot of the backups, maybe you'll see some guys with a little bit more feistiness on them.
Okay, man. I hope this lights a fire under their ass. I hope this was humbling, some good humble pie, and something that tightens them up and get ready for the start of the season. My guy Jafari the Finest, appreciate you, Jafari the Finest. I seen you. I got to chop it up with my guy at the event on Sunday. Appreciate you for your channel membership, moderation, and for the super chat donation. I'd rather have a stinker of a joint practice than it happening during a meaningful in-season game. There's time to fix it. I still believe that this organization will figure out what needs to be done, and I have not given up on APDQ or the roster that they've built, because it's the best roster we've had in a long time. But we can't even see the roster right now, and we don't know what portion of the roster is going to be out there for week 1. So I do understand where the concern kicks in.
Yeah, no, that's fair right there. I mean, again, they've definitely built the roster up. This roster from 3 years ago is totally flipped. Totally flipped. I mean, hell, you even got, if you look at, they've got their backup quarterback of the future right now, in Kyle McManus. And for anybody that doesn't think he's their backup of the future, you're sadly mistaken, because not only that, he may have sped up the process a little bit to be that next year, not wait 2 more years. It might be next year. So there's a lot of positives on the roster, but when you go out like in a situation as of today, so let me just put it this way. The first thing they did today was, after they went through their group drills, when the horn blew and they got ready to go, mano a mano, I was standing right there, like literally right there, with Washington's receivers going up against Baltimore's D-backs. And the receivers had plays. They made quite a few plays. And I'm talking Antonio, I'm talking Terry didn't do much. If I'm not mistaken, I think he may have ran like 3 routes. But Steph had one play, had a drop, had a play. But it was Antonio. It was, oh my goodness gracious. It was Luke had a couple. So they Jalen Lane had a day. That's what I meant to tell you.
Jalen Lane.
Oh my God, bro. Jalen Lane as a receiver has been having days, plural. Like, he spends, and I had it on my thing yesterday, on my stand-up after yesterday's practice. He is at the jugs machine after practice, every practice, working on his hands. And he's making catches. He made a couple slant route catches today with his hands. One scored. So he's improved. So again, there was a lot of individual things that were happening in those drills that were working. And one, I will say, the play of the day didn't even happen, but it almost did. I've never seen, like, Kyle Hamilton is legit, bro. Like,
yeah, he should be
we knew that.
Too.
No, yeah. Let's not even talk about
one of the
that.
3 players we should have taken instead of trading back for Jahan Dotson. But here we go.
Trade back, right? I know. And I'm a Penn State guy and didn't like that one. But yeah, he was covering Chig on a flat route, like when Chig was going to the sideline, and they had a receiver coming across field, and Jaden was going to hit the receiver on a cross. Kyle was covering Chig going towards the sidelines and didn't even see the ball wrong behind him. And at the last second, bro, I don't know how, if he had eyes in the back of his head, he jumped in the air and turned and almost backhand, one hand intercepted it. Got it in his hands, and when he hit the ground, it came out. But it was unbelievable. And I mean, everybody was like, forget the fact that he didn't catch the interception. It was the fact that how did he track that football when the ball was thrown, when he had run past that? It was amazing. So
special players do. That's what you get paid the big bucks to do, my guy.
Right. You saw it. You saw like over and over and over in these drills. And then in the 7-on-7s, it was Kyle. He had the interception on Jaden, which was late. I get it. But he was everywhere, bro. When I tell you he was disruptive, he was disruptive. But I go back to Antonio. Antonio did get him once, but that's a play that you will never see Kyle Hamilton covering a guy like that in the flat.
Yeah,
And
as a
again,
safety, yes. As safety, you should
as a
never be
safety,
tasked with no shit like
yeah,
that.
yeah, you'll never see that. But I tell
Yeah.
you, who did get cooked up a couple times by Antonio was
Wiggins?
Wiggins. Yes, he did. He got cooked.
Yeah. That
So
Clemson on Clemson crime?
Clemson on Clemson, and they were chirping.
Yeah.
Playful chirping.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but what I saw was
Mhm.
Antonio won the respect of the Ravens defense. I ain't see
Mm.
too many others that did, and that's a
I
fact.
love
Okay.
that, and I needed to hear that more than anything because I've been so sick of watching him run routes for Sam Hartman and Ethan.
Right, when he was in there with Jaden, it was on point. And again, that kid's going to be a weapon. So there was some positives that came out of the day. Jalen Lane looked really sharp, was cooking some guys out there. He's been doing it all
I
camp.
saw some Sonny Styles coverage reps that looked really good out there today too.
Yes, and again, you could see the speed with Sonny. You could see the maturity in his game, and that's what I want fans to understand who keep knocking Sonny. I mean, Sonny wasn't supposed to ever be Micah Parsons. Don't get fooled by the combine stuff. Sonny's a technique guy, and he's a guy that had to get his technique down, but he's also a guy that's uber intelligent. He knows the playbook already, and they've been having him, like I said, they've been having him as a green dot at times, because ultimately we all know he's going to be the green dot guy.
Yeah.
Maybe not to start the season, that'll be Frankie, but you could tell that Sonny is one of those advanced guys, and all the guys have told me off the record that the kid watches films, that he's making plays. Leo Chanel swears by him, that, Chanel swears by him. He's as advertised. These are coming from professionals that have done it. So I think Sonny's going to be fine. And again, you haven't seen the playbook yet. You haven't seen what they have set up for
They ain't unleashed him
Philadelphia.
yet. They ain't unleashed
Yeah,
him yet.
they have not unleashed him at all. And I can tell you that. I've seen things in practice where the play was stopped and it was Sonny that filled the hole. And it was firecrackers. I know what he can do, and he's going to be just fine. It's just that, you see a guy like Caleb Downs, and, they saw all the stuff that he's doing in Dallas, but that's because it's the Cowboys, and they're going to push that narrative. I think Sonny's going to be just fine. Trust me on that.
I also think that middle linebacker is that shit takes time to develop, man. Some guys don't be good till like year 3 or 4. When you pick a guy number 7, though, I understand fans' anticipation and anxiousness to see them flash immediately, but he's flashing in practice in the role that he's going to be playing in the regular season. They're not trying to show everybody all that right now.
Yeah, and I just think sometimes our fans have been burned by, top defensive draft picks.
Whole lot.
Yeah. They ain't been burned, they've been scorched, so it's like you think of Chase and it didn't work out here. That wasn't supposed to be the situation. You look at Emmanuel Forbes, that wasn't supposed to be the situation. These are high defensive draft picks, and you don't want to see okay production. You want to see like immediate instant results. Well, I think before you judge Sonny over training camp and a preseason where they didn't play a whole lot, because I know people were killing him after the Miami preseason game saying he didn't look good. I mean, who did they have for him and Leo in front of them for that game? They didn't.
Right.
They had
shot Tuttle in
3 guys, right? And two of them aren't going to make the roster. You know what I'm saying? So not just be on the practice squad. They're not making the roster. So you got to be realistic, man. Like what I've seen Sonny do when Adafe's out there, or when Caleb Vaughn's out there. When Duran didn't even play today. In the joint practice. So again, that's the stuff I'm talking about. They had a third of their starting defense not on the field as far as the interior guys. So you can't get a fair assessment of anything. Again, I'm not making any excuses because they did look bad. I came on your show right off the top and said it. I did not like what I saw. Didn't like the lack of energy. I didn't like they were getting manhandled up front. But again, it's not all your regulars that were in there getting manhandled.
Yeah, man, I'm not concerned with anything from Sonny. I would like him to be a little bit more violent at the collision point, but it's preseason. If I see it week 1 versus the Eagles, we can have a conversation about some things, but they have definitely forced this polarizing narrative attached to Sonny Styles, and I chalk that up to the Washington tax. Everything Washington comes with a salacious talking point attached to it. You know? Shout out to my guy, Joe is him for real.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I was breaking up on you. There you go.
Yeah, you had like a little bit of a delay, but I'm about to hold on, let me bring Lake back in here just a second when his shit catches up again. Cause right now that joint's a little bit behind. It's a little bit delayed, and I don't want that awkward little double dutch of should I talk, should I talk, should I listen, should I talk, should I wait a second. But Joe is him for real. Appreciate you for the $4.99 super chat donation. Is Wiley not suitable at right tackle, not using our first round? Hey, they was on my ass the day that Laramie Tunzel got hurt because I said, you're telling us everything we need to know about Josh Conerly by not even considering putting a first rounder who's played one position his whole life, left tackle, except for 1 year, his rookie year at right tackle. And people are like, nah, Rio, you just got to put Coleman there. You can't put Josh Conerly out there. I felt this way, and I got my back kicked in for saying it. I still feel that way. They're telling us in a way without telling us that they don't have the confidence that Josh Conerly could hop over to the left side and do that. Let me bring Lake back in now in just a second and see if we're back good on his front. We're good. You hear me loud and clear?
Yep. Passing King's Dominion. I always hit a little spot there, so we good.
So do you think the team is telling us something by not even considering moving Josh Conerly back to his original spot that he played in most of his life at left tackle?
I do. I think they feel like Brandon is adequate enough to really get that job done. They like what they saw. They like his whole demeanor. He's got more nastier, more vocal. And I think that they feel like, Josh was playing really well in the second half of last season at right tackle. So why, change something that's not broken? Why fix something that's not broken? So I think the goal was, look, Brandon was potentially may have beaten out Chris for that guard spot, that left guard spot. But it was just easier now to say, you know what, they both were having a really good camp. So now it's just easier to say with Laramie being out, let's just move Brandon back to where he was when we went to the conference championship game. He's a better football player. He's older, he's stronger, wiser as a player. So they just felt like it was easier to do that. But then Nick goes down and it kind of disrupts a lot of different things. And so again, it's no continuity. But to answer your question, I don't think it takes slight on Josh to stay at right tackle because they just want him to be put in the best possible situation to have success, and that's right now playing right tackle.
Hey man, I'm not mad at this take at all though about Josh Conerly because I was figuring a first rounder that's played it his whole life, not even being considered there. I feel like that's telling us more. But my guy, the real Benjamin, asks, why are we running Ben Johnson's offense with a line built for an air raid? All linemen are not created equal. That's an interesting point also.
That's 100% accurate, man. I think, again, this all has wide receivers getting open, getting off the ball. And, when you think about it, Steph can do it. Antonio can do it. Terry, if you look at the bulk of Terry's career, Terry is I call Terry the junkyard dog because Terry just makes plays from sheer toughness and will. That's who he is. No one's ever said Terry's like the best route runner. You know what I'm saying? So I think Terry is kind of like the Amon St. Brown. I know people keep saying that that's going to be Antonio. I don't know about that. I think in this Ben Johnson type of offense, you got to get guys that can get the ball and run afterwards. And Terry proved last year or 2 years ago, especially, in that run when they got to the conference championship game, every playoff game, he was taking one to the house, after he caught it. So he's proven that he can do it. So I don't know if the offense is necessarily not predicated and set up for our current linemen to have success because I think these guys are good football players. I just think that they need to get some continuity together, playing together in their current roles. And I think once that happens, it'll start to look better. Because I'll tell you right now, like Sam Cosmi looks really good. Like you can tell Sam Cosmi's got his leg back under him. Last year he was coming back off that leg injury. You heard me talk about Steph Diggs. He looks great because he's got his leg back. It's been 2 years since his injury. Same thing with Sam. So I just think, you know, I know how well he's playing. And I said this before, Brandon's actually playing pretty well. Josh has shown signs at times. He's played well. It just needs to be more consistent. You know, so naturally, Chris Paul is the guy that he's got to step his game up. He's got to get back to where he was last year, and I know Chris will do that because he's a smart player, a determined type player. But we all know what it boils down to, man. I mean, we don't have to keep saying it. It's that center spot. That center spot is going to derail their season if they don't fix this.
Yeah, man, and we don't want that. That should not be the. It feels super malpractice, like that. Like
It does.
we should be having this conversation 2 weeks before the season starts.
It really does. It does, and that's where I can't, you know, and I know Adam and them watch my stuff, and you know, but I gotta say it. I mean, I got a job to do. Adam and them should not have allowed this to happen. No way.
Nope.
I mean, because like I said, there was no reason or proof to believe that Nick Allegretti was going to be your answer before you even figured it out, you know, without having any kind of competition. And they didn't. I know they drafted Matt, but you're not expecting for a rookie to come in right off the top. Even though Matt was that guy in college, I don't think anybody's expecting for a rookie to come in here and just nail it and be your starter or compete for a starting job. No way. That's where you needed that other veteran. So go out and get yourself a veteran center. You know, you're probably going to have to wait till after Sunday. You probably won't find anything out until next week. And then you take it from there. I will feel much better about it if I know that they announce on Wednesday that, or we out there on Wednesday and Nick comes out to practice and the goal is for him to start against Philadelphia. And you've gone out and made a move and brought in a quality veterans backup center that could be a starter if need be. I will feel much better about things. But until that happens, this ain't good.
It's not good at all, and it's not the type of shit you want to hear when we have a young superstar stud quarterback like we have in Jaden Daniels. No Name here today says, don't get why we didn't just get Taylor Decker to bump Coleman inside to help with Cosmi to support the center. First 3 teams interiors, we play a wicked. Bro, the Eagles defensive line, they got to be looking at us like food right now.
Bro, they have
and
their
the
way
Cowboys and the Seahawks.
And don't forget the Colts either. I mean, like they got some dudes too. Like this is, man, it's just like you asked me earlier, you know, where's my level, my concern level and all that stuff. And I'm very concerned. And the more I'm having these flashbacks in my mind on what I saw today, they're going to be nightmares tonight, bro, because a lot of things are coming clear in my head. Like, yep. Yeah, I saw Julian get tossed to the ground like a rag doll. I saw Goldman get tapped, you know, put to the ground like a rag doll. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Like, you know what I would have wanted to see today? You know me, I don't condone this stuff. But when you get your ass handed to you, yeah, man, I want to see somebody just say, you know what, the hell with this. Like, show me something, man. Don't accept that they dragged you in the alley and did what they wanted with you. You know what I'm saying? Give me some fight back.
Yeah, you got to throw a chair sometime, man. Sometimes you got to play a little dirty.
I mean, yeah, so like last play when Mikey got that interception, like I said, it was a nice, great, you know, 50-50 ball that he won. And guys was running on the field, and like Frankie was the main guy, let him out on the field, harping and chirping and talking to the Ravens, and that's what I'm talking about. But I didn't see that most of the day. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what Jeremy was saying. Where is the fight from the jump, from the very beginning? Not at the last play of the game when y'all know y'all out after this. Lamar was hot, though, that he threw that interception because I saw him go up to his coordinator. Was it Declan Doyle? I I saw him go up to him, and he wasn't happy about, I guess, the route. I think it was Zay Flowers. So good for Mikey. That was a real one. That wasn't like just some garbage time throw up. No, that was a real play, and the defense needed that. So they continued to make some plays and create some turnovers. So that's good, because I'm gonna say it right now, Rio, again. They're gonna need this defense to be every bit of how good they can be to have a chance early in the season while they put this offense together.
My guy Big Phil said a trade puts us at risk of losing a key player. Who would you be willing to lose for a center? I don't think we have too many guys with trade value. It would be draft picks, and
You got one. You got one. And I'm not even trying to speculate. I'm just saying you got one.
who's that?
It's Deron Payne.
Lord,
Deron Payne.
I've heard so many Deron Payne trade scenario hypotheticals that I can't, like, you really think like on a expiring deal? Yeah, a contender probably would give us something for Deron Payne, but we've been putting that man in trades for years, bro. He untradeable at this point.
Nah, I mean, I think if you could get if you can get a center for him, like that is like a center that's really going to push Nick to take his job, like immediately, I might have to consider making that trade. I might, and the reason why I say that is because Ty Shuttle and Byron Coward, bro, they've actually played pretty well.
They both look better than Johnny Newton. That's crazy.
We're right. Well, Johnny's out, so so that's what I'm saying. You can move Ken Law inside. You've got things that you can do, because now you have a plethora of edge rushers. Because of that, you can shuffle some things around on that D line. And I'm not saying you wouldn't miss a beat, but I think you could definitely, with Durante, the way he uses guys, man, I think you got a coordinator that can mask any of your deficiencies and make it look good in doing so. So I'm just saying, if that's the route you have to take, or you got to pony up a pick for next year. And listen, and it's not like they've ever had a whole bunch of them anyway.
Twos.
So
take the twos. Take all the twos. Take the twos for the next couple of years. I don't care.
So if I go to a team that I know has a quality backup center that they believe is capable of being a starter, I might go to you and say, hey, listen, we got a third right now that we offering for this guy right now. And if the team says yes, well, you keep Deron, you don't have to worry about losing him. And now you go into the season feeling way better about yourself. The problem is a lot of the quality centers sign free agent deals with other teams. And now you look at a team like Baltimore, who lost Lindenbaum and potentially may have lost their starting center, but they always got centers in the waiting, always. That's just what it's always been. But they got a different coaching staff, so you don't know if that's going to hold true anymore. So, again, it's going to be tough to just go out and get a center off the street that's going to come in and pay huge dividends and make a difference off the top.
Yeah, man. And like, you're my brother, and they've been asking me in the chat, like, Rio, you can't let Lake off the hook for this shit. The Johnny Newton reminds you of Aaron Donald take of 2024. They've been on your ass about that shit over here.
Hey, man, hey, listen, I'm going to still say it. When Johnny Newton, when you just look at how he plays with his feet, like his foot speed and all that stuff.
As a pass rusher, not a complete defensive tackle.
Yeah. No, man, come on, man. I mean, there's only one Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald's like the best player.
But I'm saying, if you look at his size, he's not like the biggest dude. Aaron Donald was never the biggest guy, but he used that burst. And I'm telling you, Johnny Newton at Illinois, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, was like that. And he comes to Washington, has both feet had surgery on him, so that derailed him. But then you see signs last year, like in the Dallas game, he had 3 sacks, almost had 4. So that tells you that he's capable of doing it. But the injury bug, man, like that changes everything. That's the difference between the greats and the guys that coulda, woulda, shoulda, because the greats naturally stay healthy. They find a way to work through injuries and play through them. And Johnny's not doing that. And hence he's probably out for the year. So, yeah, I mean, I'll take that up, but I also was the same guy that said, last week on your show that Jaden Bradley was going to have a play, and he had a couple of them, had the one hand catch. I'm
Hey,
also the
we all
guy that
got
said
hits
this team
and
was going to win
misses.
12 games in 2024, and they won 12
Mhm.
games. And I'm also the guy that said last week on your show from Detroit, also, Will Harris was in trouble. Did I not?
Yep. Yeah, he was out of here. Yep. He was
And he got
completely out of here.
released. So,
Before
and
cut
remember I
down.
told you,
Mhm.
yeah, but you remember I
Mhm.
told you why Steph Diggs got number 3 jersey on out here.
Mhm. Yep.
That was the telltale right there that it was done. It was coming. So
Yep.
yeah, man. But no, I look, I accept what they're saying. You know, I did say that I thought he reminded me of Aaron Donald as far as,
Mhm.
you know, just the Pitt coming out of Pitt and Johnny coming out of Illinois. The similarities were there for sure. Was I saying that he was going to be Aaron Donald? Come on, man. They don't have a player that's Aaron Donald. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
no.
still waiting to see if we have a superstar on the defensive side of the ball. No name here today. Again, appreciate you for the super chat.
They
We
got a
knew our first.
superstar. They got a
Mhm.
superstar.
I think
I
they
I I,
could
I,
have a superstar.
I think they could have a superstar in Adafe.
Odafe? Yeah, I think Odafe
Yes.
could be a superstar. As of right now, we don't have an established superstar,
No,
but I think Owe
not
can be that for
no.
sure.
I think he absolutely can be, and that has nothing to do with where he went to school. I don't want people to keep thinking I'm harping on that. Doesn't hurt, but no, seriously, he just makes a difference out there. And when I saw him blowing by Miami's guys like they weren't even touching him, bruh. I said to myself, he's Jaden on the defense. They got one on the defense that people are going to have to game plan for where he is. And I know for a fact that he won't be lined up in the same spot all the time. They're gonna find some ways to utilize his strengths. And I'm excited for him, but they got to get him back on the field because he hasn't practiced and hasn't been out there in almost a week and a half, 2 weeks now.
This off season, I'm tired, Lake. I'm tired of this trend. Oh my God, man. I'm exhausted. I wake up every day to these long 240 character tweets about who's practicing and who's not practicing and what players we done cut, what players we done added, players that I don't need to even research because they only here for a week. I'm tired of shit already, Lake, and the season ain't even started.
Bruh, I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm so glad this training camp is almost over. Like,
I bet.
technically, today is officially over because you got the preseason game, and that's it. I'll just be so glad to not have to research and do all these players, learn all these players, because it's just gonna get down to normalcy. But man, like, I really felt like this was gonna be the first year, Rio, that there was never gonna be any side stories, any nonsense, that was gonna keep
Mhm.
us from you know what I'm saying, having to talk about, come on, man, if you're gonna get over, get over. Like, my bad. It's just these people
So you
can't
had to deal with
drive.
Maryland. You got to deal with stupid ass Maryland drivers, and now you're dealing
But
with
let me tell
dumbass
you,
Virginia drivers because
yeah,
Virginia
yeah, yeah.
drivers just as bad.
Well, Richmond might be the worst drivers of all time, and I say that because you got the city slickers like us who've moved down here. Like, my whole neighborhood, nobody is from Richmond. Maybe Janine, but outside of that, everyone's like Chicago, Dallas, LA, DC, Philly, and they say the same thing. Like, these folks can't drive down here. So what it is you got the old guard, the old country guard that want to drive slow and do everything slow. It's just a bad mixture. So anyway, um, what was I saying before I got off on that little soapbox? um, I think overall, like, if you look at the bigger picture here, I think this team can be as good as they want to be, but they have to get out of the way of their own shadow. And I hope that makes sense what I'm saying. Like, it's their fault that they're in the position they're in now at this center spot. That's nobody's fault but their front office. That's nobody's fault but their own. And you can't go into a season not having your quarterback be invested in, and not just by going out and getting them a receiver. You got to keep him upright. He won't be able to get the ball to a new toy if he can't have time to throw the ball and survey the field. And it's looking like right now, man, I mean, I hope because Bill wasn't in there and Rashad wasn't out there today, Terry didn't do hardly anything. I'm hoping and praying that we're not going to see a deke and dunk offense, because the way it looks right now, that's the only time they have is to dunk it off, deke and dunk it off to the side. And we saw that with Cliff. I don't want to see no more of that.
Yeah, man. It just, we're not even able to do what we're supposed to do, and it just, we don't have no running backs that's gonna play in September out there. It's just a nasty product right now. My guy Joe he's not pulling no punches. He wants Josh Connolly out there at left tackle. He says the reporters he feels like are dropping the ball on Josh Connolly. We could do so much more with this line.
I asked that question. No, I asked that question to coach. I literally asked him that question. I did. I asked him, was there any consideration of moving Josh to left tackle, because that's what he
AP
played.
That shit. That's who I want to know. I would love to know.
I'll ask Adam that on Friday. I'll ask him that.
Because
I'll pull him to the side.
Dan Quinn says the same shit at the podium every day. I want to know what the person who drafted him thinks, because I guarantee you AP thinks that Josh Connolly could play left tackle for this football team.
I mean, how can you not? I mean, he was an All-American.
If you don't think he can play left tackle, then that says a lot about that draft pick. And when I say says a lot, I don't mean good things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they feel like Laramie's going to come back at some point, and Brandon can hold it down till then. I think that's what they don't want to totally reshuffle things and disrupt it. But when you see the results that you're getting right now, you kind of, my way of thinking is it can't get any worse. So why not take a look at it? But I'm sure when we have to leave the field, well, we never really have to leave the field. But, I know that there's some practices and some things that they do when we're not there. Okay, let's just put it that way. We're not at all the walkthroughs. They don't allow us at all of them. So there's some things that they've probably taken a look at, and they've made a concerted effort to mix it up. But they may have said after seeing it, let's just stay with what we have, and we'll just have to figure out this center spot. I think after today, if you were to ask me after today, even though they got manhandled, what is the center spot in total shambles with Matt being at the center, I would say no, it's not. I think Matt showed me a lot more today than Julian ever did. So, and that's not just being disrespectful to Julian. He's not a center. He's just not a center. Matt is, and Matt showed.
Good guy though. Good dance moves. Cool guy. He stinks, Lake. You can't say that, but I can, Lake.
Oh my God, bro. I mean, like, for real. He did some good things, man. Like I'm talking about Matt, not Julian. Matt did some good things. I know
who you're talking about.
but he didn't do enough to make me think, yeah, this is going to be our starting opening day center against Philly. Oh my God. Them, like you said, them guys would be like fresh meat on the hook. You can't do that. So that's what I'm saying. If Nick can't go against Philly, you have to bring a center in, another center. And it's got to be somebody that's familiar with the system and what they're trying to do. So again, I'm in the car now, but if you look up, like, what is it? Is it Nick Glasgow or whatever? Look him up. Grant
Glasgow, yeah.
Grant Glasgow. I think he might be
Graham
an option.
Glasgow. Yeah,
Graham Glasgow.
Yeah. There's options out there, and I feel like by Monday, end of business, one of them is going to be in DC as our new center here. Did you make it home finally?
Yeah, I just pulled up here in the driveway, so I'm good.
I'm not gonna hold you for a second longer, bro. You've rocked it. This is our longest stream together, 2 hours and 8 minutes. We were here for your whole trek home from joint practice. I appreciate you so much for coming on and giving us as much insight as possible from joint practice today.
Nah, anytime. And for all the listeners, make sure you go to my YouTube channel,
yes,
so you can get some of this insight. It's at Lake Lewis Jr. And, let me know what you think. But I try to give you guys highlights and stuff from practice as much as all the stuff we can film. I got some really good ones for you guys today. A lot of one-on-one stuff from joint session that you'll be able to see that I wasn't able to film. Some others didn't get it, so you'll be able to see some of this stuff. So yeah, man, anytime, little bro, anytime you need me there, I'm there for you.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. And y'all make sure y'all tune in tonight. I think Lake's sister's going to be on with my brother, Louis T and Candy Waller. I think they're going to have Waller Wednesdays on his channel, man. So make sure y'all check that out as well. We appreciate having some real ones in the media come on and give us the real about what took place at practice. Now go inside, go be with your women, and go relax for the day, man.
All right. Appreciate you, fam. All right.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you as always, man. Lake Lewis Jr., man. What a guy he is, man. And see, that's my brother, but we ask Lake the hard questions. We call out the takes. We do everything. I'm not on here just yes, man, and peddling all Lake stuff. We have real conversation because that's my guy. Like Lake, that's my nigga, man. Like we've experienced things in life together. We've had a lot of conversations and we've moved around together in real life before. So I definitely know this guy very well. Mr. Deacon, sir, appreciate you for the super chat donation. I'm about to get out of here after this one. Almost feel like center is the difference between us being a playoff team and picking top 5 to 7. Need depth and consistently on the O-line. And as much as we make it about center, I think there are more questions to ask because I was one, like Big Brock said in the chat 1,000 times, I was one that was confident about this O-line group, especially while Laramie Tunsil was out on the field. But it feels like Sam Cosmi is the only model of consistency on the line right now. Josh Connerly is not consistent as enough as I need him to be as a first-round pick. We don't know who the fuck the center is, and Chris Paul out there pity-pattying. He out there pity-pattying on the practice field of Big Bear AI Performance Center. So, I don't know, man. Y'all listen to Sheen. Y'all smash that like button. It's more than center, but we're going to find out what the real team looks like in 2 weeks because in 2 weeks from today, the season starts. Seattle versus the Patriots. Super Bowl rematch the next day, the Melbourne, Australia game between the Rams and the 49ers. And a couple days after that, we go up to the link to run the fade with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, before y'all get out of here, do me a solid, smash that like button. We've had about 6,000 viewers tune in to this live stream breakdown of joint practice today. So we're trying to get this channel to 25,000 subscribers before the end of 2026. It should be no problem getting there the way that the channel has been moving. Smashing that like button, hitting subscribe, and telling a friend to tell a friend to join the Rio Robinson YouTube channel. We may or may not have Commanders Kings after Candy and Lou go live later. Let me check in with the boys. We trying to get our end situated right now because it is now Wednesday and we trying to tighten some things up and put a bow and close out the event that took place on Sunday. So if you see a Commanders King stream pop up tonight, pull up. And we're going to talk about all the shit that I just talked about with Lake and that Lou talked about with Candy. So make sure y'all go over there and run up his stream later in the evening as well. Love y'all. Talk soon. Hell to the Washington Commanders. I need some food. I need some drink. And I need some quality time and a nice little walk with my dog. I'll catch y'all later. Commander Rio out.